Hello guys, this is avsongbird. I was actually challenged to do the Halloween Q&A this year by a new friend of mine, Tracy Knox. Hi Tracy, I'll put a link to your channel underneath the description for this. I figured Halloween's always been one of my favorite times of year, so I figured if I was going to do this, I was going to do it right, and I was going to go a little bit dramatic. You know, even by my standards, which is kind of pushing it. So I figured Halloween Q&A, I thought maybe dark was called for. So, here we go. Question number 1, what is your favorite Halloween movie? I've loved scary movies since I was a little kid. You know, you could say I'm addicted to them. I've watched every scary movie I could get my hands on, and the more creative and the more out of the box, the better. But yeah, I love scary movies, but having to narrow it down to Halloween movies made it actually a bit more challenging. When it comes to movies with Halloween in it or about Halloween, I love The Nightmare Before Christmas because it was so out there, and I love the characters. They're so interesting. Sally, and Zero, and I love Jack Skellington and the whole look of it. I love Tim Burton films because they're so different. And the music, and no one had thought of it that way before. I love that movie. And then there's one that I've loved since I was a little kid, my Hocus Pocus. My mother loves that movie, and my younger brother and I loved that movie. And there was a time in my life that my younger brother and I used to go back and forth, and he'd quote a line and I'd quote a line for our mom. And we could go through the whole movie almost. We had it memorized because we just loved that movie. I love the characters and again the music, and I loved the movie. I introduced my stepsons to that one, and we watched both of those actually together. And then there's one that's not safe for the kiddies that I absolutely love. It's Trick or Treat, that I saw a few years ago, the one from 2007, I think it was, the one with Anna Paquin and I think Brian Cox, the father from The Ring. And some of you will know him from Super Troopers, as I think he was the captain, the head of the police department. Yeah, Super Troopers, thank my brother for that one. But yeah, Trick or Treat, just because it was so out there, and it's actually an anthology of scary stories that happen in Ohio in a little block, and it tells you what happens over the course of the night. And if you haven't seen it, kind of outside the box, very creepy. I always loved how all the characters' lives intersected and how they influenced each other's lives, and it gave me ideas and stuff, had me thinking about it. And I love the Laurie story. If you guys have seen it, I love the Laurie story. Expect the unexpected in that movie. But yeah, those are my top 3 Halloween-centered movies. But if I had to list my favorite scary movie of all time, that would be a long list, because there's just so many. Question number 2, 1 to 10, how much do you like Halloween? I've loved Halloween all my life, so it would at least be a 14, but it's fun whether you're young or old, and there's so much history behind it, and the new traditions, and how, you can have traditions with your kids the way you had traditions with your parents and the grandkids, and it's a whole family holiday if you're into the new traditions, but it's very steeped in history if you're into following the lore of what actually is behind Halloween with Samhain and All Hallows Eve, and there's just so much history there, and people are so creative. I love to see people come up with costume ideas and see what they think they should be for Halloween, or seeing people throw together costumes and how creative they can get. I love anything that allows people to think outside the box and test their creativity and their imagination. And as far as holidays, Halloween's pretty at the top of the list for allowing for that kind of thing. So, yeah, high up there. Number 3, what is your fondest Halloween memory? Growing up, going trick-or-treating with my family. My mom was the smart one. She made my stepdad take us out every year, and she'd stay warm in the house, with the candy and everything. And my poor stepdad would be dragged out freezing to death to take me and my brothers trick-or-treating. But, I loved all those years growing up, coming up with the costumes. One year, my mom painted my face. It was like this green you couldn't even believe, My face was like greener than Hulk green, and she ratted out my hair. My hair was almost down to my waist at the time, so picture that. She ratted out my hair at a huge, as big as she could, and she painted my whole face green, and we did my lips black, and we did my nails black, and I was a witch from hell in a black dress. And I remember how much fun we had putting together costumes when I was little. But one of my new favorite memories from Halloween actually happened only about a year ago, 2 years ago, was with my husband. Because he's not into scary movies. He's not really into Halloween and all the scary and the adrenaline rush and stuff the way I am. Getting him to watch scary movies with me is beyond an act of God and Congress together. But he loves Six Flags, and a couple of years ago, we actually went to Fright Fest together. I got him involved in a Halloween thing. Actually, it was him kind of that did it. But we went to Fright Fest together, and we got the armbands where you can go into any of the haunted houses they have, and he went into every one, and he was leading the way. We went with a couple of friends, but he was leading the way, and I was right behind him holding on to his shirt the whole way. And he bought me a Harlequin cape, and I was wearing that through the whole park. Out of everyone in the park, I was the only one wearing Harley Quinn. So, yay to being the only one, right? But he went through every haunted house, and I laughed. I had a scare from hell in that park that day. I'm standing there, and I wasn't paying attention. And he was in front of me, but I wasn't paying attention. And then all of a sudden, someone came up behind me, past our friends, came up behind me and breathed in my ear. If I hadn't thought it was Sean, I was, just reflex, right? This guy came up and in my ear, and I went to swing back to hit him. And I turned around to look, and thank God I went to look. I come to find out it was one of the people that worked at the park. I could see me getting a ticket for assault or something, right? No, seriously, he scared the shit out of me. But, going through all of that with him and having so much fun, and we were laughing and going through all the haunted houses. And then they had this live band up on the stage for Halloween. All of them were dressed up, as these skeletons and these old raggedy looking, garb, like they were in top hats and they were in suits and they looked like they'd been buried for years and dug up for the day. And they had this drummer in this stand-up drum kit. I'd never seen a drum kit that huge. And Sean was a drummer in high school. He loved the drums to this day. He swears he's over being a drummer, but he stood there and we were listening to the music, and I look over at him and he's tapping his foot, and he wasn't taking his eyes off the guy playing drums. He was just getting so into it. And seeing him get that bit into it, and the two of us having fun and getting to spend that day, just us, spending the time together, that's my absolute fondest Halloween memory. Thank you, baby, for that. That was really cool. That's one of my favorite memories of Halloween. Number 4, have you always been a Halloween lover? Yes. Absolutely, yes. It's always been, aside from Christmas, because Christmas is another of my favorites, but Halloween's always been right up there and, my favorite holidays, and I've always loved it. Number 5, how do you get into the Halloween spirit? I am a proud owner of many good scary movies. No, I'm not going through the list. It's a long list, but I have all the Hellraisers. I have all the Hellraisers. I have a lot of scary movies. I'm a big fan of anything Guillermo del Toro. Dying for his new one coming out. I watch a lot of scary movies, and then I'll sit down and work on scary stories of my own. If you haven't listened to Run Jessie, it's over there. But I've been working on a lot of scary stories. And what are you doing, dog? My dog is making noise under my desk. But Jack, quit it. But I love writing scary stories, and I may not be able to get them up here because I want to do the sequel of Run Jessie. I want to do right. But if you guys want to hear any of my scary stories sometime, feel free to let me know. But I love to do that in the scary movies. And, paint my nails black. Gotta be in season, right? And I like, getting together with my stepsons. We watch their scary ones because I showed them Night of the Living Dead, the old black and white one, the one that broke me into scary movies. And they love that one. So, yeah, the scary movies, spending time with my family, getting into it with the kids, and seeing what they want to do, that gets me into the spirit every single time. Number 6, favorite Halloween decorations. I love anything to do with imagination and creativity, and I love to see, even if people buy the Dollar Tree or dollar store type decorations, just to see what they can do with it. People that put their decorations together MacGyver style, seeing what they come up with. I love, antique looking decorations. I love Gothic style altogether in architecture and everything. Just as far as decorations, I love anything that's old-timey style. I love anything that people throw together that just shows their ingenuity, their creativity, and imagination. I love anything steampunk, just anything that shows that people put time and thought and passion into it. I love bats. I love spiders, if they're not alive. I don't mind them if they're alive, but I really like spiders. And, black and purple, and when people put together purple and black, and, like lace and skeletons and the whole thing. I love everything about Halloween. Favorite Halloween or fall scent? I love apple cider. The smell of hot apple cider. Jack, shh. The smell of hot apple cider. I love the smell of hot pumpkin pie. I love walking outside when it's getting dark at night and the smell of the night air just as it starts to cool off. That smell? I love the fall rains, when the rain falls and you smell the rain in the air and the air is starting to cool down. And the crunch of the leaves under your feet. I love everything about fall. But, yeah. Oh, I love to walk by Michael's this time of year in stores like that put out early the pine cones that smell like pine and apple cinnamon because they put those out for Thanksgiving early. I love those smells. But I'm really into sense of smells and good foods and stuff. So smells like that I absolutely love. The smell of good food, the smell of baking candy, I love that. Which leads into the next one. Favorite candy, number 8. There are so many. I love the original Skittles before they got rid of the lime flavor. I love black licorice and black jelly beans. I love jelly beans and gummy bears. And, all those candies that make you nostalgic that I've loved since I was a kid that I love. And as an adult, that when you eat them, it takes you back to when you were that little kid, with your costume thrown together and your pillowcase running around from house to house just dying to see who got the best, candy. And I laugh. I used to share my Snickers. My mom would always steal my Snickers. Hi, Mom. Yeah, I ratted you out. Number 9, vampires or zombies? If we're talking Bram Stoker's Dracula, the movie or the book, if we're talking Anne Rice, then definitely vampires. I am not into Twilight. I did not get into that. No. But if we're talking Anne Rice or Bram Stoker, vampires. Now, if we're talking... My first scary movie I ever got into was Night of the Living Dead, the original black and white one. And that movie got me hooked on zombies early. And from then on, and my younger brother's the same way. Any and every zombie movie we could get our hands on, we were watching. When I found out that the Walking Dead comics were out, I read those. I read so many of those in one weekend. It was insane. And then the show came out, and I've seen every single episode. And I'm begging my hubby to take me to Universal Studios one of these years to do the Walking Dead maze, because apparently I hate myself and I like testing my blood pressure. So yeah, it would depend on what we're talking about, but if I had to choose one between the two, I would choose zombies, because Walking Dead, man. Technically, they're not zombies, they're walkers. But, yeah, I know the terminology, damn it. But yeah, it would definitely depend. What is your weird or odd fear? I've got a couple of fears that people know about, but there's one that I actually have never discussed with anyone, so this one's a new one for you guys. I haven't even talked about this fear with my family, so this one's kind of... When I was younger, I don't remember how old I was. I mean, people know I'm afraid of heights. People know, I don't like spiders. It's not a fear. I just don't like them, and... the thought of being buried alive, but everyone's got that one, don't they? But I'm not afraid of confined spaces. It's just the fear of buried alive. But my biggest weird or odd fear, when I was younger, my stepdad introduced me to the movie The Abyss, which I absolutely love that movie. But I remember watching the part, if you've ever seen The Abyss, the older movie, the scary movie, when he goes down off the side and he starts sinking down into the black, in the water, deep down under the water, like the Marianas Trench type deep, right? I love the ocean. Don't get me wrong. I love the ocean. I learned how to swim before I learned how to walk. I love the ocean. I love being there. Sitting there watching the waves, to me, is peaceful. But watching him step off the edge and start to sink down, and he was in his suit, and he was in the weighted boots, and he just kept sinking down, down, down. And the water started to turn from blue to that black, where you can't see a foot in front of your face. And you don't know what's 2 feet away from you. You don't know what monsters are swimming out there around you in the darkness. You don't know if anything's coming for you, No one knows you're there. You're alone in the inky black, and you're sinking down, down, down. And you know that at any minute, you could crack like an eggshell. The thought of being that person alone in that inky blackness, sinking down, down, down. In the quiet, because sound travels through water, but there's nothing down there that you know of except the monsters lurking in the dark. Some of the oldest forms of life on the planet are lurking down there in the darkness. They never learn to adapt. The world is ancient to them for all they know. That always terrified me, that thought of being alone in that darkness, sinking down, 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 and you look up and you're sinking and you see this water above you even fade away from blue into black, and you look beneath you and all you see is black, and you don't know if you're going to hit bottom or when. Growing up, I had nightmares of that. Just the sinking down, down, down. Yeah. Terrified the hell out of me. So that's a fear I have. I had nightmares where I was on the bottom in the blackness, and I looked up and I could see the shadows of forms swim over me, and I could hear them in the darkness, and I couldn't move. That's a terrifying feeling. So yeah, that's my weird or odd fear. And I don't think it's a bad one. And I hope I don't give people nightmares, because I've been told the way I talk about things puts images in people's heads. Writer, remember? But number 11, do you believe in ghosts? No, you guys, I'm not high protection valued. There's not going to be Mr. Boogedy flying behind me. You know, people believe in absolutes. There is and there isn't. Science, fact, everything. We've got an answer for everything. I don't believe that. I can't. We live in too big a universe to believe we have all the answers, and I don't think we're equipped to have all the answers. I think there's things out there that can't be explained. How do we know if there is or there isn't? There's enough people out there with things that happen to them in their lives, and I've had things happen in my life that bring into question whether or not there is or isn't. Do I believe in ghosts? I believe it's possible. I'm one of those that watches the ghost hunter shows. I love Ghost Adventures. With the original 3. It's got to be Zach, Nick, and Aaron. The old seasons. I love the 3 of them together, 3 guys tripping around in the dark, terrified, seeing if there's anything there, but I love that. And then I always wanted to see if I could sleep in a place that was supposed to be haunted, just to see if there was anything to it. And my husband goes, if you sleep in a haunted place, I'm sleeping at a hotel across, because I don't play with that. And I laugh. My mother's the same way, and my stepdad's going, how about you guys get a room in a haunted place? Sean and me will be like across town, and you can call us and tell us when you're terrified, because no. But I've always wondered. So yeah, that's questions 1 through 11 that I was given. Done in my dramatic fashion, and my microphone fell over for a little bit, so I'm hoping the sound's not too muffled on you guys. I did pick it up and fix it. But this has been AV Songbird doing the Halloween Q&A for you guys. I hope my answers satisfy you, Tracy, and all of you. I hope it enlightened you a little bit, and I'm trying to think of who I want to nominate to do this. I think I want to nominate, because I don't know who all's been nominated or not. I'll have to think about that and put them underneath this. But as far as people I want to nominate, I'll think of a couple of names and I'll let them know that I want them to do this. But this has been AV Songbird. You guys have a great rest of your night. Happy Halloween.